Hey guys, this is Corey Smith. I own a Alpha Strike company. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I was kind of want to do a couple of go over a couple of the stocks that I've kind of been watching over the last couple of weeks. Kind of get prepared for the week ahead. Anyways, so the first one we've got is Visa. So a lot of people that know that are part of our community is we came out with our indicator alpha kingmaker and bull cycle. This background is the monthly bull cycle. Anytime there's a bull cycle, price always goes up. But yeah, so one thing that I was going when I was going over Visa is I noticed several instances to where the bull cycle for the kingmaker started early, as it should, and then eventually the monthly came through. But one thing else I noticed was it always ended up with a golden cross like it does right here. And as you see that, obviously price went up, came down, up, down, up, down. So it wasn't a very smooth ride until obviously it got to about right here, obviously. But whenever you're going long term like it is, that's just kind of part of, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. So, but yeah, so, then obviously it had a down cycle right here. And then they had another bull cross right here with a 50 and 200 SMA, which I'm going to be adding this to that Kingmaker. So everybody with a free trading view account, they don't have to pay extra to have more than a few indicators on their chart. So I would expect that by at least Monday morning to have this. But there is another bull cross right here. The Kingmaker daily started, and then the monthly bull cycle started, and then it went back up. Well, as of now, we've been in quite of a Visa's been down in a pretty long monthly bearish cycle. One thing that I did notice is that there's a downtrend right here, and it did pop right here. And I'm assuming that it's either going to hold the support or come back down here. But we've also got another golden cross like the previous two bull cycles that we had. And if you look down here, the monthly is getting ready to potentially go back into another bull cycle. And every time that a bull cycle has always started, it has went up significantly. So it went up $87 here, $104 here. So, but if you were to take a long here, I would, we always try to get kind of close to the fair value of the Kingmaker right here. If price has come back down or it meets somewhere around this area, a ride to 370 or 365 is one heck of a trade. There is also a gap right here at 366 that's not been filled. So that is a good potential future buy in the next coming days or weeks. Another thing about Netflix is that I found is I don't know if you guys are in Netflix, but I wanted to kind of show you guys this. So there's also a support here, but if you look at this trend line, it all meets right here around the 73 mark. And one other thing that I noticed is, so RSI is anytime when the RSI gets down here, that means it's undervalued. That doesn't mean that it can't continue to go down, because obviously it was undervalued here and undervalued here. But in the long term of things, that kind of it signals, hey, yes, it is undervalued here. It is undervalued here. It's eventually going to come up. It happened here, went up, came back down here, and so another thing is I noticed is there is a 11 out of 13 weeks it dropped 35% right here. 11 of 13 weeks it dropped 35% here. But if you also recognize after it dropped 35%, it also went up 35%. So my thinking is I consider this kind of like a double bottom. Let me see if I can. I kind of consider this a double bottom, which is extremely bullish because look, there's a double bottom here, and it goes up. But if you're a part of, just because something is undervalued, that doesn't mean it's always a buy. And one thing that I try to have people change their mind to is that, if it's undervalued, yes, you can put a small position in, but that doesn't mean go all in. We want to make sure that whenever we go into a bull cycle, that it has already, see, you could have bought here at $18 right here, but because obviously it was at around the 70 mark. If you would have bought it at 15, you just gotta understand that until it hits a bull cycle, you might have a little bit of a rough road before it gets there. But Netflix has earnings coming up. They're really good. I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, everybody has Netflix. There is a gap at 123 and another support resistance at 126. I don't see why. I mean, worst case scenario goes down to 58 or 52, but I mean, it's looking pretty good for Netflix around this area right here. Especially, you got support here, and then you've got a long-term trend like right here. So, all right, guys. So let's go over to SoFi. So everybody knows that I took a small position in SoFi. That's a part of our community. We've kind of been channeling in this for the last month or two. Like right here, we've got a trend line going up. We got a trend line coming down. So I kind of expect, to, I don't know, in the next week or two, kind of we're either gonna come back in here, or we're gonna pop. But we do have a squeeze indicator, and we did have a small blue red C on bar. The red means it's squeezing. It kind of goes against the Keltner and the Bollinger Bands. When it's starting to squeeze, that means stuff is just. It's kind of like when you burst like a balloon. It's just ready to pop. When you see a C on and it's red, and it's also blue, that's usually a pretty good sign. As you can see, like right here, it's red, and eventually it's kind of like popping a balloon, and then it just kind of takes off. So that's kind of, I was already kind of wanting to buy into SoFi, but when this showed up, I was like, I'm just going to put a small position in. I think about 2 contracts. I'm kind of looking at 25 or 30. I think we're going to go to 42 or 46, honestly. I don't see why this won't be a $40 to $45 stock in a year or two from now, but I for sure don't see why we can't hit 25, which around that area right there. But yeah, so that's very important. I'd have been much more excited if this was red, but that doesn't mean another blue sea on bar couldn't pop up and it turned me orange. But if it was orange, I'd probably buy some more positions in. Now, whenever say if it next couple weeks is red and then turns black, good opportunity. I will probably go ahead and buy some more. And as far as like the bull cycle goes, yes, it is always good to go ahead and start buying whenever the bull cycle starts, but in the big scheme of things, whenever you're doing trading, you also got to be like, okay, so I know this is a very undervalued stock. It's down like 50%, which is a gold zone, by the way. You know that whenever this starts turning light, that means, so you see here it turns light green and goes down. Obviously it's going to go down. Same thing with the opposite is red. The light red means it's going to, it's selling pressure is no longer valid. Now we got buying pressure. We got a C on weekly red right here. We got support and resistance. We got the kingmaker coming down. We got a trend line coming down, and it's looking really good for at least SoFi for a little bit. A lot of problems that people have when they start trading is they follow the rule book to the T, and sometimes you can overthink it, and you can miss a lot of trades. So so obviously this is turning light green or light yellow right here, it turns blue. You can, because if there's a like a support like right here, you can be like, hey, I'm going to buy a position right here when it starts turning yellow, just one position, and then when it turns green, buy 5 more, and then take off. You don't have to go 100% of your whole entire account whenever so like right here, I'm interested in this last week right here. I could have easily went all in right here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait next couple weeks. Oh, it looks good. I'm going to throw a couple more in, and then you buy into a winning position. You invest into something that is going to make you more money. Now, if SoFi dove off in here, I'm not just going to keep buying into a losing position. I do believe SoFi is a good stock for the future, so that also helps. Now, Zeta is I've been screaming Zeta, probably for around this area. I want to say I told the community about right here. It was before we also had the kingmaker and bull cycle, but this is the daily and this is the weekly, and they are both in a bull cycle. Obviously, you can tell that this right here didn't go very far. It did recover from pretty big drop off right here, but it is looking good for Zeta. They just partnered up with OpenAI. They partnered up with Palantir, and those kind of things are what you're looking for whenever you're looking to invest into a company. I didn't invest too heavily on Zeta. I'm probably going to look to take profits. There is a gap right here. And the 52-week high is around the 38 mark. So I will probably take profits probably around 28. If I'm just depending on how wild things get. We are starting to see, this is a make this smaller. And we do have two blue Sions right here. We've got a red and a red. So if we do see a green, look at this. So if we do see a green, obviously that happened here as well. We do see a green, and we could very well see a pretty good trend. So, but yeah. So those are a couple of stocks that I've kind of been keeping an eye on. I am going to have more as the week comes along. Zeta, I wouldn't. If I were to buy any stocks, it would either be like Netflix, SoFi. I would wait, and get a confirmation on Visa. I hope everybody's had a good weekend. Hope we're gonna have another good week. So, alrighty, guys. See you tomorrow morning.